Great Britain's acute group consciousness during its imperial heyday contrasts jarringly with America's group blindness today. The British were minutely knowledgeable about, almost obsessed with, the ethnic, religious, tribal, and caste differences among their subject populations. They studied and catalogued, harnessed and manipulated, often deliberately pitting groups against each other. They also left behind time bombs that are still exploding today. From a cold-blooded, strategic point of view, Britain's divide and rule policies were astonishingly successful. In India, some 40,000 British officers and soldiers governed approximately 200 million Indians for nearly 200 years. By contrast, America couldn't hold Vietnam for 10 years, couldn't stabilize Afghanistan for 5, couldn't unify Iraq for even 1. Why didn't America follow the British model? A part of the answer may simply be timing. Great Britain's shrewd divide-and-conquer strategies arose out of the practical necessity of colonial governance, of having to administer large numbers of colonial subjects with a relatively small occupying force. By the time the United States emerged as a Cold War superpower, supplanting Great Britain on the world stage, the rules of the imperial game had changed. Conquest and territorial occupation were out of favor. The challenges of governing tens of millions of foreign subjects never faced post-war America, which constructed its empire very differently, by engineering coups, installing friendly regimes, building military bases, opening up markets, and establishing spheres of influence, rather than actually occupying and ruling foreign territory. But the timing explanation is incomplete at best. There are deeper reasons for the group blindness of U.S. foreign policy, rooted in America's distinctive history, at both its best and its worst. In 1915, addressing several thousand recently naturalized citizens, President Woodrow Wilson said, "You cannot dedicate yourself to America unless you become in every respect and with every purpose of your will thorough Americans. You cannot become thorough Americans if you think of yourselves in groups. America does not consist of groups. A man who thinks himself as belonging to a particular national group in America has not yet become an American." This is a classic expression of American group blindness, and it is astounding that Wilson could make this comment at a time when many Native Americans were still denied citizenship, Jews were subject to quotas, Asian immigrants were barred from owning land in California, Mexican Americans were being lynched in the Southwest, and blacks faced violence, terror, and degradation throughout the country in almost every aspect of life. Wilson was claiming that America does not consist of groups when he was himself a beneficiary and practitioner of tribal politics. Like every president before him, as well as nearly every holder of an important public office, Wilson was a white Protestant male. It was Wilson, moreover, who oversaw the racial resegregation of the civil service. Racism is group consciousness at its most repugnant, built on the premise that human beings can be divided by skin color into innately superior and inferior groups. Yet, paradoxically, racism is also a form of group blindness. Racial categories like black, white, and Asian erase ethnic differences and identities. The original African slaves brought to America knew, and might have tried to tell their children, that they hailed from the Mandinka tribe, or the Ashanti people, or that they were descended from a long line of Yoruba kings. But even as they were stripped of their rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, America's slaves were also stripped of these ethnic identities. Slave families were deliberately broken up, and heritages were lost, reduced by the powerful to a pigment and nothing more. Even now, immigrants from, say, Ghana, Jamaica, or Nigeria are often stunned to discover that in America, they are just black.